Finally some nice nerd out stuff. Yesterday we looked at the talent layout that Blizzard broadcasted to us by showing us the talent trees and how they would look in Dragonflight. We went into more of a general take yesterday. We looked at the pros, the cons, what could happen, about the options and the choice you might have with these talent choices, the Q&A given by Blizzard about the most worrying questions from the player base. Now we go a little bit more in depth. We are starting with the most popular of the specs that was shown in these talents, which is Balanced Druid. So when we go and look at the talents in detail, start with the tree for Druid, not the one for Balance. Let's remind everyone once again that you have 31 points available and you need 8 to break this line of talents, and then you need 20 points to break this line of talents. Let's also remind everyone that once you choose a spec, you will be given 2 points for free for the starting abilities. So this is Balance, this is Resto, this is Guardian, and this is Pharaoh. So you have 31 points and these 2 are free. So the first rows are quite self-explanatory. Let's go back to the general Druid ones. They are all quite self-explanatory all the way up to basically here, because you get abilities you have already seen multiple times. In case it's not obvious to you already, the way it's shaped is that this one pretty much is for Feral and Guardian, while this one is for Resto and Balance. So you will have to choose which way to go down towards at the very least. So even if you're starting as Balanced Druid, you're starting down here. Of course, the next no-brainer in the third row of all of these talents is going to be Moonking Form, obviously. Then you start getting some more extra things. For example, in the fourth row, after Moonking Form, you can take 6% more spell damage and heal, which is this one right here. 6% more spell damage and healing, very good. You can then get stopped. You get stopped because you need 8 talents here and you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is 2 less than what you need to go down this road. With this question, it's worth pointing out that this talent system is not complete. Blizzard pointed out that what is missing from this tree, let me just scroll down to see if I find it in the Q&A. They point out that most talents have prerequisites, which will be indicated by arrows in the final UI. If a talent has any arrows leading to it, you must have fully purchased at least one of those previous talents. So we don't know how we can spend the points. I know it's cool to theorycraft, I know it's cool to just play around with this. I will play around with this for months once the calculators are out, but it's worth pointing out that what could happen is that, for example, Swiftmend is going to have this little arrow. If Swiftmend has this little arrow, it means even if you put points here, you can't go backwards. You can't go backwards to take Remove Corruption because you have to take Swiftmend first. So we don't know now. We don't know how it plays out. Let's just try to take it logically. Let's just assume we can't go backwards if it's not specified. So let's just take our 2 more points in Reju and in Swiftmend. Now we have 8 points. Now we can go past this. This is the, I think, 5th talent row, which gives you Feline Swiftness, Skull Bash, Thick Hide, your first double option, Wild Charge and Tiger Dash, plus heal, 6% more healing done and received, Cyclone, and then max range, 5 extra yard range for Balanced Druid. The next one, we have Tyrus Pursuit, 2 seconds of extra speed once you go out of Traveler and Cat form, Soothe, Sunfire, Typhoon. Last of the tier in this segment needed to break into the last one is going to be Primal Fury, so the extra combo point when you crit. Ursoc's Endurance, which is an extra absorb when you use Barkskin or Survival Instincts, Stampeding Roar, Wild Growth, and Improve Sunfire, which is the one that makes you spread the Sunfire away from the target. So we need 20 points before you can reach the bottom, and right now we have 8. So we have 12 points to spend. Now, as a Balanced Druid, let's assume it's a must that you take Sunfire and you take Improve Sunfire, right? That's just obvious. So the max range, the Sunfire, and the Sunfire improvement are a must. You spent 4. Now we said we are going to assume we can't go backwards, so you can't take Sunfire and go back to the heal, for example. So let's take Remove Corruption. You can go all the way up here, which will also unlock Wild Growth. So now of the 12 points we need, we spent 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We still have 4 points left. Where do you want to go? Soothe, it's 3 points left. Stampeding Roar, it's 2 points left, and then you can not go backwards to get Thick Hide. So as a druid, I would take Frenzied Regen and improve Barkskin for defensiveness. This unlocks the last tier, the last segment rather. First one is an option between Incaproar and Mighty Bash, followed by Ursine Vigor, which is tankiness when you go into bear form and exit it for a few seconds after. This is Likara's Teachings, which is the Torghast passive stat increase. Improved Reju, lasting for one more tick, and then Mass Roots and Vortex. Well-honed Instincts is the Conduit, the auto-frenzied regen proc Conduit, which is very powerful right now. 1 minute cooldown removed from Stampeding Roar, Renewal, your Panic Heal, and Innervate. This is then finished by Furor, Heart of the Wild, and Nature's Vigil right here. So, with 10 more points to spend, I would spend them into Vortex, 9 points, 8 points, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 1 and 0. This is where I would go. For the default druid, that would be my general take. Of course, this is where the cool stuff happens, because it's gonna be a testament to the diversity, to the opinions that people might have. You don't have opinions right now, you know, right? Right now, you click here, you click on this one right here, you click on this one, you click on this, don't bother the ranking, okay? That's just an example. You click here, and this is a diversity. You know, it's like, am I gonna be an asshole, or am I gonna be using 3 ends, or do I want to use Master Roots or Heart of the Wild? You know, not too much. But here, for example, people might be telling me, why aren't you getting the interrupt for Mythic Plus? Why aren't you getting the stun for Mythic Plus? What about 6% less damage taken? Aren't these super good to take? What about in the raid? Don't you want, if you're raiding, 15% more movement speed? That's massive, right? And that's good, because it gives you options, it gives you diversity, right? In this case, for example, if you wanted to reach here, you would have to spend, compared to our build, you would have to spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, if it only needs 1 point, 10. So 10 more points, which means you would have to get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know? It's good. It's good that it gives you a lot of options and a lot of discussion about what would be the good take in Mythic Plus, in raiding, single target, AoE, utility, defensiveness. That's quite good. Now that we are done, however, with the general Druid 3, we have the Balance Druid 3, which requires 30 points max. Again, 8 point limit, 20 point requirement is down there. So for Balance, you start quite obviously on one of the more general all-purpose uses. You have Eclipse, of course, followed by Improved Eclipse, followed by 3 ends, Nature's Balance, and Warrior of Elune, the unused, pretty much, talent that we currently have in the game. Starfall, Improved Moonkin Form for the extra Starfire instant proc, and then Celestial Alignment. This is your first segment, which requires 8 points to unlock the following one. So 8 points is 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. We're gonna extend it to 9 with Starfall. After this, we have the following segment, which starts at Improved Star Surge, Solar Beam, and Shooting Stars, followed by Improved Starfall. The new talent in the 6th row is the Power of Goldrin. Star Surge has a chance to summon a Spirit of Goldrin, which immediately deals arcane damage to the target. And then the last tier of this segment is going to be Stellar Drift, and triple new talents, and then 5 seconds longer Celestial Alignment. The triple new talents are going to be these 3 right here. Star Surge and Starfall having an extra chance to empower Eclipse or extend Moonfire by double the amount. Light of the Sun reduces the remaining cooldown on Solar Beam by 15 seconds when it interrupts the primary target. Umbral Intensity, Eclipse's damage bonus to Rat and Starfire starts stronger. So these are the 3 options that you get to take. Obviously, this one right here, Stellar Inspiration, is right here. This is a direct improvement of these 2 previous ones, because Improved Star Surge improves the damage of bonus of any active Eclipse, and Improved Starfall extends the duration of active Moonfire and Starfires. So Stellar Inspiration has a chance to basically double that. Now, we spent 9 points here, which means we need 11 in here. to break into the last segment. So 11 points is gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, very simple, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, and I would say 10 and 11. Although then we miss Stellar Drift to go down here, so I guess we could do 10, and then we could do 11, but just 1 point. If it works like that you only need 1 point to go down here. Then we have the last segment, which starts with a ton of new stuff. It's so backloaded, the Tree of Balance. All of this stuff is quite straightforward, whereas the bottom is just full of super powerful stuff, which is quite sad because you only have 10 points available to spend in here, and there is 18. There is 18 here, and you can only take 10. So this is the first one, that's the new one, is the blessing choices. Either make Lunar Eclipse 3 seconds stronger and Solar 3 seconds shorter, or vice versa. So obviously, single target, you empower Solar Eclipse, AoE, you empower Lunar Eclipse. Soul of the Forest talent for AoE put in here. Fury of the Skies is quite the boring talent, just giving you 2% more damage to arcane and nature damage. Another dual option, Twin Moons and Stellar Flare, and lastly we have Solstice. During the first 6 seconds of Eclipse, Shooting Stars falls 250% more often. Next tier, we have the option of Legendaries between Onyx Clear Vision and Time Worn Dreambinder. New talent right here, Umbral Infusion, reducing the cost of Starshot and Starfall by 10%, which stacks with Time Worn Dreambinder as well. Then we have another option, the one that we saw for the first time with the reveal of the Dragonflight, the choice between Incarn and Convoke. Dot Hot Legendary. This, funnily enough, is Circle of Life and Death, given to you as a passive, just like that. And lastly, yet another option right here between Zigzee and Primordial Arcanic Pulsar. Pulsar, slightly nerfed, now it requires 400 Astral Power to proc CA, and then Celestial Alignment now blasts all targets between you and the selected area for astral damage and applies Moonfire and Sunfire to them. Super cool, giving you extra power in Mythic Plus to balance Druid. Now you're pulling 15 mobs in a Mythic Plus pool, balance is just rolling their thumbs because they can't do anything, but if they take this talent right here, they can just blast CA and immediately Sunfire and Moonfire all of them plus do a bunch of damage to them, so it's very cool. The last row, we have the choice between New Moon and Fury of Elune, the improvement on Incarnation and Convoke, which is right here, and then you have the option, very interesting one, between a Necrolord, Covenant ability, and Balance of All Things. That's one of the two choices you have to make. Lastly, you have Orbit Breaker, which I believe is from Torghast. Every third shooting star calls down a full moon upon its target. So we have 10 points to spend. This is where most of the massive theory crafting will be done by Balanced Druids because of the sheer amount of choices, right? You can go here to make your Solar Eclipse longer, 1 point. You can take Time Worn Dreambinder for the discount. You can take even more discount down here. You can go down here to take Solstice, right into Primordial Arcanic Pulsar, right into a free full moon every 30 shooting stars, into Circle of Light and Death, into Adaptive Swarm and Balance of All Things. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, this is just gonna be one stack. But you see, even after you take all of this stuff, which looks super cool, wow, now I get to use Primordial Arcanic Pulsar together with Time War Dreambinder, together with Balance of All Things, together with 10% more discount on my Star Surge and Starfall, together with 3 seconds longer Solar Eclipse, plus another legendary, Circle of Life and Death as well. Throughout all of this, which looks super cool, you're still gonna be missing on Stellar Flare for single target, plus Incarnation or Convoke, plus New Moon or Fury of Elune, plus the improvement on Incarnation on Convoke, plus Soul of the Forest for AoE. So you see that the amount of stuff that is quite interesting to give you a lot of options is massive, you know. You might start to think about some AoE builds after the theory crafting starts rolling. Maybe you're like, okay, this is gonna be good for AoE. This new blasting ability over here is gonna be super good in AoE. The full moon proc is gonna be super good in AoE. Twin Moons is likely gonna be quite helpful in AoE. You're gonna have New Moon, Soul of the Forest is obviously going to be very powerful in AoE. The extra dots and hots to burn faster so you can do damage faster in AoE is also going to be quite good. Adaptive Swarm to dot even harder. And this is already 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. There you go, 10. Longer Lunar Eclipse. And with this build, which is trying to make AoE stronger, you're going to be missing out on Incarnation and Convoke, New Moon Fury of Elune, Time Lord Dreambinder. You know, that's why I think it's so cool, because of the sheer amount of options you're gonna be having and getting while you choose these setups. And then you're gonna, of course, combine them with your normal tree of Druid and try to start tinkering about what you want in, for example, if you're doing Mythic Plus, if you're raiding, depending on what you're going for, you know. So I think it can open up a lot of different options for your build as a Druid. This was what we are looked for when it comes to balance. As I said, balance amongst the specs we will see is likely the more backloaded, because a lot of their very powerful stuff is all the way down to the bottom. So it's not good that it is all the way down to the bottom, because at the bottom you only have 10 points available. So you cannot pick all of this stuff. This is likely what I want to see. I know it's early to start talking about balancing of talent trees for Dragonflights when we don't even have an alpha, but what I want to see in the inevitable alpha and beta of Dragonflight is to start spreading some of these a little bit further down. You know, I want to start seeing some more things like Twin Moons, for example, being put here, yeah, or this one being put here. You know, moving upwards a little bit some of the more powerful picks so that you don't end up with this super massive crowded set of powers next to each other, which you can't take them all. I think it's better if we spread them a little bit more. So that's the first tip I would give when it comes to this balancing of the talent trees, now that we looked at Balanced Druid. After Balance, I think we're going to look later on Resto Druid, another one of the more popular picks of recently. After that, I think it's time to go over Blood Death Knight, the current flavor of the month tank, so it's good to go and check them out. However, for now, this is all we get for today's video when it comes to the talents, in particular for the Balanced Druid talents. So for today, this was all. Let me guys know what you think about these talent systems, these talent setups, especially if you're a Balanced Druid player. Your first thoughts about this eventual possible talent system that will come live in Dragonflight. It's also worth pointing out for the update time that many of these, if not all of these, will get shuffled around before Dragonflight comes out. There's going to be a plethora of changes over time, but this is definitely a good place to start. If you compare the first time we saw Azerite armor being announced and seeing how it worked at the start with their shitty, passive, soulless Azerite traits, plus the smaller amount of rings, the difficulty in obtaining that, if you compare this to this one, which will be in your kit as a default talent tree, we are so much better off than the last few expansions when it comes to powers. So let me know, obviously, what you think about this. If you're against, if you're contrary to this idea, I'm just gonna tell you you're wrong, but you're still free to express your opinion. This isn't, I don't know, Twitter. Thank you guys again for watching the video. You can support me even more by liking and commenting down below, as well as subscribing to the channel. For today, obviously, this one being a Balanced Druid themed video. Only players who hate Balanced Druid and who hope Balanced Druid want to become meta in Dragonflight can subscribe to the channel. With this being said, I need help for a moment. With this being said, it's time to leave each other, but not before pointing out that I am found on Twitter in this direction if you want to follow me and just read someone who is not shilling and clickbaiting every 2 fucking sentences. And also you can support me on Patreon down over here, which will give you access to my Discord channel where plenty of discussion goes on every day. It doesn't, but hey, you can fix that. You can come in and change things. Thank you guys again. See you guys soon, and in the meantime, I know there are lights to brighten your room and everything, but are there also like freezing lights, like refreshing lights with some sort of AC together with the light coming out to give you the air coming in as well. Man, this is rough.